Hello and welcome to my brand new podcast. I'm Nicky Raby and I'm thrilled that you're joining us. I do lots of things. I'm an actor, coach, writer, speaker and a mum. And in my coaching work, I work with creatives, personal brands, freelancers and small businesses. In this podcast, I want to talk about success, but not in the traditional sense. I want to bring you conversations that discuss success, what it means, and how there are many different versions. We're going to be talking about business, branding, becoming visible, saying no, saying yes, and how you can create a thriving portfolio career doing more of what you love and less of what you don't. Sometimes there can be a certain mystery around the online world, so I'm going to be asking my guests how they started and grew, how they get paid, how they stand out, and how they create success on their terms. As always, please check the show notes for all things we mention and come and say hi over on social media at Nicky Raby or via my website nickyraby.com/podcast. In today's episode, I'm talking to Lacey Hunter-Felton, who is a hairdresser and founder of Hunter Collective. She built Hunter Collective to create flexibility, transparency, and freedom in her own work-life balance. Hunter Collective is a co-work space created for the hair, beauty, and fashion industries, and they are proudly brand neutral and technology focused. And she hopes this will encourage and support her members to build their businesses limitlessly. Oh, I love talking to Lacey, as you can probably hear from the episode. We talk about all kinds of things: launching your idea, going for investment, getting people to be on side and believe in you, and doing that whilst being pregnant and having a very small baby as well, and all those circumstances that may present themselves. If you want to join in the conversation, come over to Instagram.com/Nicky Raby. That's where we'll be and hanging out and opening up the chat around this. Please come over. And also, if you want to work with me one-on-one in my coaching, go to nickyraby.com/coaching or the podcast page for all the show notes. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. I loved talking to Lacey. Hi, Lacey.
Hello there. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Thank you. Very well.
Well, I first met you because I came to your beautiful building in Farringdon. Can you tell everybody who's listening what you do and more about the Hunter Collective?
Okay. So I'm a hairdresser by background, by trade, nearly 20 years. And in September last year, I opened Hunter Collective, and we're a co-working space for the fashion and beauty industry. So I just, I felt after years and years in the salon, which I absolutely loved, I just felt like I needed the next step. I needed a new challenge. I felt a little bit frustrated, actually, that I didn't know what that was going to be, and there wasn't really an obvious path. So I took some time out and I really thought about what I wanted to do, and I built Hunter Collective. I came up with a concept and I just rolled with it, and we built Hunter Collective.
And where did the idea come from?
So classically, it was born out of frustration.
Yeah.
Just honestly, like I absolutely loved working in the salon, and I loved my experience and my journey in that space. But I kind of looked around and I kind of felt like I couldn't really see where the women in my industry and my mentors and teachers and the people that inspired me, like there seemed to be this kind of like cliff point, like they seemed to be sort of disappearing. And I started looking around and I started sort of asking questions as to where some of these women had gone. And one of the common denominators was they'd gone off to have children.
Right.
And they just hadn't really returned to the salon. And so I started looking at what they were doing, and I started asking questions about why they were doing it in that way and whatever. And it just felt like the flexibility and earning potential and transparency of like working around your kids and things like that. It wasn't easy in the classic salon model. So even though I didn't have a baby, I knew that I wanted one at some point. And so I decided to quit my job and go work on a project, which I'm now sitting in, Hunter Collective, 2.5 years later. And I just started looking at like, what do I need? Okay, if I've got a baby or if I've got a multi-tiered life of like, different jobs or, different options, like how do I make all that balance? How do I make it work? And I needed something with lots of flexibility. And the idea for a co-working space that had the facilities of a salon and the flexibility of a co-work and a membership and a community and all those things just seemed really obvious. So I set about what that would look like, and I set about building it, basically. And here we are.
And how did that practically happen? What were the steps that you took to go from idea to reality, I guess?
So that's a really good question, because it was really tough. You've been in a bubble of a salon, for nearly 20 years and you don't know any different. And for me, like, I'm really like all or nothing. And now I've had a baby, I'm a little bit less all or nothing. I'm a little bit more like calm. But at the time I was like, right, I need to get out of here. Like, I couldn't think straight. I was so just in the zone, in the bubble, and I knew I needed to get out of it, because I knew it was going to get out of me if I had a baby anyway. So I thought, well, off we go. So what I did was I just put myself in a situation where I just wanted to connect with maybe the lifestyle that I was going to have in the future. So I started freelancing to keep earning money, and I started cutting hair at home to keep earning money and keep up with my clients. And the rest of the time I sectioned off and I sat in a tech co-working space that was near my house and in the city, and I surrounded myself with like incredible people who were very ambitious and entrepreneurial, and I really used and appreciated their spirit and their encouragement, and I just surrounded myself with people that were just changing things. And everyone that wasn't sure or that was nervous for me, I just cut them out.
Yes.
And I didn't speak to them, or I haven't really spoken to them again.
But
and
I think
kind of
you're so right, because like the exhaustion and the energy it takes to like lift something off the ground, you can't have anything holding you back. You have to go all in. It's so true.
Yeah, to be fair, like, so, you walk into this co-working space where they're building apps and they're talking about investment, and they're talking about these products that you maybe will hear about in 2 years' time, and they're going to change the world and all this stuff. And, that was all great. And then I'd sit down and I'd get my pad out and my pen, and I'd start thinking, like, right, what do I need? I know it needs to look like a salon. I know it wants to be a premium experience. I know I'm from a service background. Customer service is like key. I know I want there to be an atmosphere, rada. I know all those practical things. I know about the plumbing and all that stuff, but I don't know about raising money. I don't know about opening a limited business. I've barely had a conversation with an accountant. Do I need a lawyer? And so I just sat down and I started like researching and talking to people, because that's what I do for a living. I talk, and the response I got was so amazing, but it was really tough because you'd sit down and someone would come over and be like, hey, what are you building? And I'd be like, well, I'm a hairdresser and I'm going to change this industry. And they just look at you and they'd be like, oh, great. And, I couldn't answer loads of questions. And I spent, 2 years feeling like I had no idea what I was doing. But you keep believing in what you are trying to achieve. And I really sort of, just like I said, like just listened to what people were doing and how they were doing it, and watching them and going to every event I could go to that was accessible to me, and asking lots of questions. And I just, I literally would just put my hand up and be like, look, I'm a hairdresser. I've got no idea. But I'm going to ask you this question. And then 6 months later, you maybe wouldn't answer. You wouldn't start with that. You'd be like, hey, I've got a question for you. And then 6 months later, you'd be like, so I'm doing this thing and I'd really like to know about this. And it was just about, relearning your approach and feeling more comfortable and putting yourself out there. And it's a long process. And for me, it took 2 years, and for others it might take less or more. But I think the most important thing was that every day I would just get up and be like, what's the alternative?
Yes. And I think connecting to your why and why you're doing something is so key. I find this a lot with my clients is that, and I guess I'm the antithesis to this idea online where people are just selling like, you know, I want a 7-figure business, or I want a 6-figure business, or to work from
I want
Bali.
a 30% return on my investment now.
Yeah, and it's
what
just
talking about.
It has to be more about the detail of what that actual success brings. Like once you get to 6 figures, what are you going to do with the money? What's the stuff that's going to excite you and keep moving you forward? Because otherwise it's just a figure in your bank account that you're not doing with to it. So how did you find those people that were going to really help you move to the next level?
So for me, it was based on contacts and you know, just putting myself out there and making myself available. It wasn't comfortable. It was more just chatting to one person and then that person recommending you to another person, and then you make a decision, am I going to go to this or am I not going to go? And I just decided that I was just going to go. And I would, you know, every event I went to, I just tried to talk to at least one person, you know, have that courage to just say hello and ask a question or make a point or something. And that would be my goal for each event. And that's why my network grew. And you know, you just go back to your mates and you just say like, you know, I'm doing this. If you've got any like help or feedback, or if you know anyone that could help me with it, I really appreciate chatting to them.
Yes.
And I spent a lot of time on the phone and meeting people for coffee, talking about nothing related to my business or nothing related to my concept. It was just, would you please explain to me how you built your business? Would you please explain to me how you took these steps? Where's your kid right now? Like, who's doing this? How does that work? And I think a lot of the time people kind of focus on how they're so in their head, you know, like how is this good for my business? Is that connection going to bring me any money?
Yes.
And it's not about that. You know, like most of the connections that I've made for Hunter Collective or for myself personally have never stemmed from what can I get out of it. It's literally like, they're really interesting. They're generous enough to have coffee with me for half an hour. You know, thank you very much. I'm going to take that coffee.
Yes.
And let's see what happens.
And you can get so much out of those. If you ask the right questions, you go away from those meetings. I know, because I have that curious mindset as well of, you know, I don't think I've moved on from my 3-year-old self of why,
Yeah.
you know, that's sort of how my brain works. But wherever I've been to a networking event, or just even having a conversation with somebody at a wedding or whatever, you know, and asking really good questions, you always come away going, oh, that's what it's all about. Or, you know, I remember asking questions before we were talking about having children of like, are kids expensive? How much do they cost? And trying to get my head around those sort of prices, like I would do if I was, I don't know, growing a new arm of my business or something like that. So, I think that's so important. And then in terms of investment, I don't think we've spoken about this on the podcast. How did that, you obviously you don't have to share the figures or your long credit card number or anything like that, but like how did that process go for you? Because I know sometimes as soon as you start talking about investment or lawyers or tax, people immediately at that point just go, oh no, I'm out now. This feels a bit serious, and I don't really know anything about it. Because I guess we're not taught unless somebody shows us. What did that look like for you?
Well, for me, it was a real mixed bag experience. So I knew that I believed in what I was doing, and so I put some money in myself. So I had what they class as like skin in the game, so that I was being taken seriously. And when I was most of my investment first time round has come from my clients. Like, they're people that I've known for 10 years. plus who basically just love me and I love them. Like, it's most of the time your first round of investment will come from your friends and family.
Yeah.
Like, really simple. They don't care necessarily what the idea is. They just care about you and they want you to have the best opportunity and they want you to do well. So I was very blessed in the sense that my first round of investment came from people that I already knew. But saying that, you've got to really pick your audience, because I would sit down with people and I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm looking to do this and I need some money to do this. I don't really know how I'm doing it. And they'd look mortified. Like, they don't want to talk to you about that.
It's so ugly. Things get so awkward, isn't it? When as soon as people start talking about money, like, don't ask me. God, yeah. I don't want to ask.
They want to talk about nice things. They don't want to talk about money. And I'm a hairdresser. Like, if you show me a spreadsheet, I burst out laughing. I've got no idea how to use a spreadsheet. Like, no idea at all. So when I was talking about investment, I was talking about it literally. I was nuts and bolts, bare bones, give it to me straight. What does this mean? And I think my naivety on that sense and my complete lack of I didn't know the terminology. I just was like, what does this mean? And I kept again asking questions and being really sort of like ABC about it. That actually put me, like, it allowed me to make some mistakes and also gain some knowledge that maybe if I'd have been a bit more pretentious and had a few buzzwords that I probably wouldn't understand now.
Totally.
So again, it's about honesty. Like, and when you're talking about money, and like people putting in money, it's not really about the figure. It's that, like, for me, it's about what do they believe I'm going to deliver and what do I believe I can deliver. And like when I say I'm going to do this, like, am I actually going to do it?
Yes.
And can I back myself? Because they're backing me financially to do it, but can I, like, they believe in what I'm doing and I can't let them down. And like, I have so much respect for the people that put money into Hunter Collective, because God, like, they went out on such a limb, because I was 6 months pregnant at the time as well. So
as if you didn't have enough going on, isn't it? That funny thing, like, oh, let's just do that as well. Let's throw it in the mix.
Yeah. So do you know what? Like, this is one of the things about what I love about Hunter Collective and what really motivated me and got me out of bed was that, like, a very, very, like, less than 10% of all investment goes to women.
God.
And it, like, that really drives me nuts. And I just think of all these incredible businesses that women are creating so that they can, they have more flexibility around their lifestyle. And yet no one's supporting them really to do that. So when I was in conceptually building Hunter Collective, I was so motivated because I was just like, I'm going to be one of those women that gets that money. Like, and I'm going to do this. And when I got pregnant, the amount of people that I went to say, like, I'm doing this and I'd like to do this, and I'm, if you know anyone that you think might invest in me or has an idea of how I can grow my business, like anything. And it wasn't just about money, it was about the learning about the business and running the business. And it was amazing how many men and women both took me aside very kindly, very, very considerately, but sort of said, you're probably going to want to take a year off after you have your baby, and you're probably going to want to, like, not worry about stuff like this because it's really stressful, and just don't focus on this right now. Like, really enjoy your pregnancy and enjoy the baby and blah, blah, blah. And I love, like, it was great. Thank you very much. But that was not what I wanted to hear. My pregnancy was a catalyst for my business. It gave end date. It gave me like a time frame to work to, and it gave me some serious ammunition. And I would rock into that meeting and I'd sit down and I'd be like, if you're going to commit, you've got 8 weeks, you've got 7 weeks, you've got 5 weeks.
Did you go a bit gangster with it? Was it a bit lock stock, like, right, I'll see you there on the top of the car park?
Yeah, and also, like, I'd just be like, right, are you in or you're out?
Yes.
Like, because it's happening, and I've got a real time frame now, and I had to make a decision really early on that I was, I had a business partner, now I had commitments to him. And I was like, I'm going to have my child and I love my child, but I also have already committed completely to building this business. And if I'm fit and well, as soon as I'm fit and well, I will be available. I'm still building this business. And And I think that I was very, very lucky to have the labour and the child that I did. And I feel very blessed to have got away so easily with all of those things, because I really was fortunate. And, I was back on email, and I was, locking down a physical location and chatting to plumbers and doing all sorts of stuff weeks after I had him. I could barely walk, but I was just like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm still motivated. I'm still myself. I'm building this for my baby. I've got my whole family backing me. I've got people putting money in. I've got a business partner who's turning up, working 14 hours a day to deliver this. And I'm not going to sit at home and let it pass me by. Like, I'm actively building this, and I'm building it to enable other women in my industry to come back to work and to have a career. So I have to walk the walk, like I've got to get up there and do it. And like I said, I was supported incredibly by the people in my family and my husband and everyone I know. And not everyone has that support. So I know I've been very lucky, but I think also I just committed, and I keep saying, like, I built this business for him, and I don't think that's my motivation. Like, that's my motivation to do it.
It makes me feel emotional just thinking about it, because I think I just go back to like my 20s of like how much time I wasted sitting on a sofa feeling hungover, or having conversations with complete drongos who were like trying to promise me the world, and I'm like, why was I not doing this? But that purpose behind it is everything. And so I guess as well, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I'm not really making the moves in my business that I want, like, go back to that purpose. I talk about it all the time in my sessions as well. Go back to why are you doing this? Yeah. What do you want to gain from it? So now it's up and running. What has surprised you along the way, or has it become what you thought it would become?
Oh, so there's been lots of surprises along the way. I think my personal experience and learning has shocked me in what I thought I would learn and what I still haven't got past, like my professional hang-ups or my personal hang-ups or my insecurities or my confidence. Like, I think even when you're up and running and you're representing your brand and your business, like, I think still expect to experience those roller coasters, that highs and lows of emotion. Like, I think that I spent a long time thinking, right, if I can just get to raising the money, if I can just get to opening the door, if I can just get to 3 months in, if I can get to 6 months in, like, everything will be different.
Yes.
And it isn't, because all I'm doing is I'm just learning a whole new load of lessons, and I'm still, I'm starting to find a little bit of flow and consistency, and I'm still enjoying it overall 100%. But I think my pressure on myself has definitely gone down, because I'm like, dude, if you're even here, like, if you've even made it in, like, pat on the back, like, well done you, give yourself a cup of tea. Like, that's my kind of tick box for the day. And then, you kind of start building up. So it used to be just turn up with the baby and you've achieved enough. And now it's turn up and deliver this. You've achieved enough. Turn up, deliver this and this. Okay, you've achieved enough. So I think having those expectations and, making them work for you personally day to day and week to week is really important. But as an actual evolution of what the business has evolved, we always set out to build a membership of like-minded people and build a community. And that is still integral to what we're doing. What's come to us from that community and from those relationships that we've built has just blown my mind. And the openness and the willingness has just been amazing. So I think what I've learned is that don't nail down your idea until you've actually got it up and running. And when people come to you with new ideas or even like a kind of version of your idea, like, as long as the integrity of what you're doing and the main backbone of what you're trying to achieve is still being delivered, then you can start bringing in new things and you can look at different options alongside.
Yes.
But I think that I spent a long time listening to people tell me what they thought my business should be.
Right.
And now it's up and running. I know what my business is. And I think there's a lot of confidence in that. And at the same time that I'm saying that integrally, I'm really building this. I know what I'm building. The business has evolved organically, and we are, we're still learning, and we're just going with it. So, like I said, a real mixed bag, and I hope that makes sense.
No,
I'm probably just talking in riddles, but I hope
it really does. And I feel like sometimes we feel like everything has to be perfect before we even get started. Once I've got a fortnight to think about my business idea, and it's like it's actually, life is not like that. You have to chip away at stuff, and if you're in a full-time job and you've only got 15 minutes on your lunch break, walk around the block and think about your idea and get it moving and have those conversations, because you're never going to be presented with this, here we go, everything's perfect, let's go.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think I was asked maybe once to present my business plan, and I honestly had no idea what a business plan was. So I just sat down and I started telling the story of why I was building Hunter Collective and what it meant to me and why I felt I needed to do it. And the business evolved from there. And I think whether you've got a day to think about it or 15 minutes on your lunch break, it's just about committing to the fact that you are actually doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that at no point have I spoken about Hunter Collective, and at no point has anyone asked me for the same thing. So one person will say to me, oh, can you share your deck with me? I didn't know what that was. Can you share your business plan with me? Can you tell me why you're doing it? Can you show me your Instagram pictures? Can you tell me how many members you have? Can you tell me where you want to be in 5 years' time? Can you show me a picture of it? And
if you could all send me all that within half an hour, that would be amazing.
Yeah. And I used to get these, and every single person I sat down with wanted to see something different. And I'd go home and I'd just cry. I'd just be like, God, I can't do enough. Everything I'm doing is wrong, and they want to see something else. Or someone, I'd explain it and they'd be like, I still don't get what you're doing. And I'd be like, I can't explain it anymore. I don't know. I've got my, I'm still the worst PR job ever. I still explain it differently every time I talk about it, because it's so personal. It's such a part of me. It's growing all the time. It isn't just one. It's not a product. It's not like, here's the thing, you can put it in your hand. It's like, it could be whatever you want it to be, it's always evolving.
Yes.
And I thought of, and I think that was really tough for me in the beginning, because I used to just say oh, I don't understand a spreadsheet and I'm just a hairdresser. Right, I've got no idea what I'm doing. I should probably just go cut hair somewhere. And I used to fall back on that and feel like I had no idea what they were going on about. But then again, being around the right people and only allowing yourself to listen to positive, helpful cheerleaders who have your back, who want you to succeed, who say, Lacey, I don't care. Just tell me what it is you want to do. And from my background and my experience in my industry, I'll put it on paper, or I'll put it in a picture, or I'll write it down in a way that translates to me. And if it's helpful, take it with you and use it. And I found that by sharing Hunter Collective in my way, I was able to learn how to communicate it in lots of different ways, just by saying thank you. And, I'll take that PDF, or I'll take that PowerPoint presentation that you've done for me. Thank you so, so much. I've got no idea how to use PowerPoint. And I'll just use it. And in the end, even now, sat here in my space, which I love, I still say, if you want to know what Hunter Collective is and you want to know about me, come to Hunter Collective.
Yes.
Come in here, have a cup of tea, and watch what is happening here, or have a conversation with me about what Hunter Collective could do for you, or how it could enable you to build your business. And that's how I roll. And that's taken years in the building of confidence, and I'm still working on it daily. But I realized that, I will never have the perfect spreadsheet. I will never have the perfect deck. I will never have the perfect business plan. I still don't have a business plan. I just sat down with a group of people and said, this is what I want to do, and I think it's going to help a lot of people. Are you in? And they went, Lace, let's do it.
Yes.
And that's how we did it.
And I was, as a final, I feel like I want to go and cut hair or something, which would be a very bad idea. I can do a French plait, but that's probably
well done, you.
And I have a lot of hair. I am due a haircut, but they, as a final situation or question, should I say, where would you like to be in 5 years' time?
Oh, good question again. Oh.
Coming out with the big guns today.
Yeah, no, I love it. Where am I going to be in 5 years' time? Where do I want to be in 5 years' time? That's, you know what, that's a really good question, because that comes up at home a lot. Because in 5 years, my son's going to be going to school. And from a business perspective, you know, we want Hunter Collective to be a global business. And I say that with my feet firmly rooted on the ground. I've still got to really nourish and build my, you know, my London site and my experience for my members. And there's a lot of work to be done. But, you know, long term, we want this to be, you know, impacting how people work in fashion and beauty globally, because we just think we could help so many people. But, you know, selfishly, I'd love to be doing that in LA, because I'd love my son to be growing up on a beach somewhere. But yes. I think that, you know, that's what's so brilliant about this line of work, in the sense of building something yourself, is that some people are comfortable with not knowing and some people aren't. And I'm very comfortable, and I'm very fortunate that my husband is very comfortable with not knowing where we're going to be in 5 years' time. And we don't know where we're going to be in 2 years' time. All we know is that we're going to be working on our businesses. We're going to be together, and, you know, paramount, our son is going to be safe and happy and well. And that could be in London. It could be in Kent. It could be in Berlin. It could be in LA. It could be in Tokyo. I don't know. But I think the most important thing for me in 5 years' time is that I'm still very excited to be working on Hunter Collective, that my time is a mixture of working on it and being with my son, and that we have a very, you know, we have a happy home life, and that's really, really important to me. So regardless of where HC is in 5 years' time, you know, my community, my home, my, you know, my passion, they still have to be happy too. Does that answer your question?
It really does. And, you know, as soon as you said you wanted it to go global, I have absolutely no doubt that it will do, because and you have such a compelling way about you that I just think, yeah, of course you can. And there's an episode, I'll send it to you actually, of on Ali Brown's podcast, where she talks to the lady who founded Dry Bar. And these things are totally possible. Somebody's got to do them. So I can't wait to watch this space and see where you go. If people want to find out more about Hunter Collective and you, where shall they go?
So our website is huntercollective.global. Again, I'm starting out as I mean to go on.
You're ready.
And when people tell you to, you know, about, you know, how to contact you, and like, you know, oh, you know, set the tone. It's your decision. Set the tone. So if you want to be global rather than .co.uk, then do it. And I'm saying that in hindsight of being told not to do it 2 years ago, and I was very stubborn and I stuck to my guns, and I'm hoping it's going to pay off one day. But if you want to find me or find us, huntercollective.global, and then, you know, I'm contactable in lots of different ways. So Lacey Hunter-Felton, just reach out, or just, you know what, get on the landline and give me a call.
Yeah.
Just jump on the phone, because
send me a pager.
I'll accept a pigeon. Like, I am at Hunter Collective all the time. So if you ever want to drop in, come and get a cup of tea, or just have a chat, like, we are here. I am here anytime.
Thank you. Lacey, you're incredible. Thank you so much. I've loved
thank you for having me. I can chat. So I hope that some of it made sense.
No, perfect sense. And I know people are going to be wandering around with their kitchen scissors going, right, okay, what am I going to do? In a non-like stabby way, in a haircutting way, obviously. Yeah. Thank you so much. Bye.
No worries. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I would love to hear what you thought of the episode and share any takeaways with me. Come and find me across social media at Nicky Raby, or you can visit the podcast page, nickyraby.com/podcast.